There were three Richards. One was a workaholic father, always tethered to his brick-sized mobile phone and buried in the family business, the Great American Tent Company. Another emerged after mental illness took hold, paranoid, erratic, and lost to depression. But the third, Richard, he was a mystery one his child didn't meet until after his death. Months after Richard died from congestive heart failure, his adult child stopped by the family home to check on their mother. She sat at the kitchen table, a pile of manila folders spread before her, a half-smoked joint in the ashtray. "These are your father's rock files," she said, handing over a folder labeled Lynyrd Skynyrd. Inside was a letter from the Birmingham Hyatt House, dated July 4, 1975, refusing further bookings from rock groups due to damages caused by Lynyrd Skynyrd. The hotel cited 500 in destruction. The child burst out laughing. "My soft-spoken dad dealt with this? He said they were nice boys," Mom replied, "when they weren't drunk." Each folder bore famous names: Lionel Richie, the Allman Brothers, Santana. He kept everything from peace concerts, she explained, revealing his past as a promoter. The discovery didn't square with the man the child had known in later years. The man who roamed the house at night believed his family was starving and was admitted to a psychiatric ward on Valentine's Day, 2001. That day still haunted the child, who was nearly 14 at the time. As Richard declined, both mentally and physically, he withdrew from his family and the world. But this trove of memorabilia painted a new picture, a young, energetic promoter who once helped shape the Deep South's concert scene and had kept it all hidden away in a dusty basement cabinet. In the basement, tucked in a corner, stood the cabin-told, heavy and overlooked for years. Its drawers were stuffed with posters, guest passes, contracts, and receipts, some scribbled on bar napkins. It was a paper archive of Richard's life from 1968 to 1976, during his peace concerts era. Back upstairs, they discussed selling the duplicates. Some items should be off-limits, the child insisted, out of respect. One standout was a vintage poster of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, bare-chested and radiant in their 20s. From their final shows before joining Fleetwood Mac shows, Richard had booked himself. They made glossy reproductions to sell, but kept the original. A year after Richard's death, they attended their first record show. Among graying hippies and old rockers, they sold memorabilia as retro musical mementos. Customers lit up remembering after-parties and historic performances, the kind Richard once orchestrated quietly from behind the scene. "They said you looked just like him," the child recalled, and it was true. The same red-brown curls, the same blue eyes. Music, too, was a shared passion. But depression had stolen Richard's joy long before it could become a bond between father and child. Once, the child had played a classical guitar piece for him, a delicate Barrios prelude. Richard listened and then coldly noted, "That's good, and I won't even count those two mistakes." The comment wounded deeply. The guitar was never played for him again. Yet at these shows, Richard's legacy lived. After each event, they'd return home, split the earnings, and light a joint. For Richard, they'd say, his story, his risks, and his music had become part of something larger, something worth preserving. Curious to know more, the child started contacting Richard's former colleagues. The stories were similar. He was a workaholic, a private guy. No one could say exactly why he quit promoting. One version blamed a failed Joe Cocker concert and unrequited love for a woman nicknamed Little Red. Others said he was pushed out by a bigger New York promoter or blacklisted after trying to represent Stevie and Lindsey solo. Still searching, the child visited 2121, the Birmingham high-rise where peace concerts once had its office, the penthouse, Richard had called it. On the top floor, there was no suite 1727, only remodeled offices and blank walls. A kind receptionist gave a short tour. There was nothing left, no trace of rock history, just endless windows and cold air. But standing there, the child imagined a younger Richard watching the city below, dreaming big. Eventually, the old file cabinet was sold to a local collector aiming to build a music archive and museum. Two strong movers wheeled the heavy beast away, its contents destined for public view. But a few keepsakes remained at home, including that Stevie and Lindsay poster now framed in the living room, immortalizing the early days of love and music. Over time, the child grew closer to their mother, Sherry, who confessed she still loved the version of Richard from before his decline. Selling the memorabilia wasn't about profit, it was about keeping his spirit alive, reminding the world and themselves of who he was before the illness took over. And then, one last memory surfaced. Years earlier, during a phone call in the early stages of Richard's decline, the child had been idly playing guitar. "You sound good, son," Richard had said. "Sound really good."